Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Let's make some silence first. Forget about everything and anything at all times. At all times. May your attention be only tuned to guidance, nothing else. No self-will, only guidance. The voice of God replaces everything else. So again, welcome. For those who don't know, we use WhatsApp as a means of communication. You can send your questions directly to me. Makes conversation more fluid and private, which is quite important. So today we're going to talk about unpopular subject. It is a subject that divides many, and it is important to talk about. More important than it is seen. And the topic is leaving the world versus staying in it. Well, nobody leaves the world actually, not in that situation. What happens is that people make choices in which part of the world they want to live in, by which values and standards they want to abide. And there is a science towards this. You see, temptation is a very important vehicle in the quest for truth, because it separates those who really want from those who are not so much, they don't want it so much, or they want it for the wrong reasons. So temptation plays a big role in making that selection, and this is why it is there. So logic that seekers abide tends to reveal their real values, their real motivations, and each one can access their real motivations by observing their logic. If they're not too busy defending their own logic, they can observe it and have a clear vision of their motivations, and then decide if these motivations are the most suitable for my spiritual path or not. So those who have shared a big part of their lives with someone, most have, very few haven't, but those who have, you have this experience for sure, that people who live together, they tend to become similar in many aspects. The differences tend to reduce as time passes. There's a phenomenon that is more or less like individual mind starts getting shared. It's like it's getting crossed with people that are in your environment, in your proximity, and sharing happens. So whoever you're living with, this is the important part, what you're getting out of them. And what you're getting out of them, if you're living with a worldly person, you will get from her, from him, a worldly mind, worldly goals, worldly motivations. And those things that didn't make any sense for you, it will start make sense more and more. The more you stay with them, the more it will make sense for you. All this apparatus, all the life, the worldly life, and his goals and motivations. So there is a sharing, it's unavoidable. And you may, and most of you will, say that, oh, but I'm helping those who are around me by being here, because I'm sharing my good nature with them. But that's just those arguments are from the fool who doesn't understand that he is as lost as anyone else. He may have these good qualities, but they are a help that he has. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. And as he stays there, he is also confirming to others around them, like they are confirming to him, that that is the most important thing in life. It is valid. And this happens at many levels. If you change something in yourself different from the group that you're inserted, you will see that the group will react immediately to bring you back to be the same. And if it doesn't work, they will try and try and try. And if it doesn't work, separation will happen. But let us not deviate. So there's a science in terms of the spiritual path, spiritual quest, spiritual discipline, spiritual practices. They talk about purification. At the end of the scope is the purification of motivations, of, that's not, at the end of values. That's the intended goal. But it has to purify body, mind, all these things. To be able to change those seed-like values. So, for example, in a worldly life, surrounded with worldly people, their worries is about guaranteeing their next meal, guaranteeing their next million, guaranteeing luxuries, guaranteeing payment of bills and all of these things. If you're surrounded by seekers of truth, living with them, their worries is of improving their meditation, improving their level of goodness, improving their level of service, improving their proximity to God. So choices, understand, choices are a byproduct of something which is built. So spiritual practices, they direct to this, what is built. And it starts by smashing what is built and rebuilding it in a more suitable way. Because choices is just a byproduct. It's not really a choice. It's not. It appears to be, there's a mental process involved, but it's not a choice. It's just a byproduct. And when you try to choose something which is different of what is built, a lot of pain arises. It is possible, but painful. Sometimes the only way, yes, if you don't know the science. So it has nothing to do with these superficial aspects. Staying with family, abandoning family. It's nothing to do with this. It's far more deeper than that. At social levels, in which world am I living? In which world am I participating? And at the personal level, what are the blocks that I'm using to build the instrument of freedom? As people stay together, they tend to become similar. Even their physical traits start becoming similar because of this sharing. At the community level, it is the same. It's not just in your personal space, your home, but the community that you're involved with. And for those who say, oh, but I'm only doing this for the money, or you're taking much, much, much more than just money. Much, much, much more than just money. But how would I survive? Well, those who are dedicated in ashrams, monasteries, whatever, in forests, they are eating, surviving, and they are using their life with a meaning, with a purpose. Everyone is. Everyone is. And which purpose is more suitable for the quest of freedom? Sometimes I hear naive things like, oh, but if everybody would leave the world, what would it be? It's not for everybody. Not at the same time, for sure. And it's unimportant. To think about that, it's completely unimportant. These are only the cries of desperation because of attachments. You know why you are there. And the more you try to discuss it, to convince, well, the more you are clear of why you are there. But you are taking a hell of a lot more than just money. There are those who use their life, their energy, to work to secure their own life, no surrender. And there are those who are using their life to serve as guidance is directing them, no self-interest. But that money that you're taking has a heavy price. In that exchange, you lose. So, in the worst case scenario, the best thing is for you to be by yourself. Why? Well, because if you're having your spiritual practices, you're in that process of destroying what is wrong, what's not suitable, and replacing it for that which is more suitable, more subtle. And no interferences by others, nothing. So it will take your time as you get this clarity in your mind, in this scale of that which I'm doing to purify and that which I'm doing that goes against that purification. And the more you can shift the balance of that scale to amplify that which purifies, the faster it goes. So alone, in the worst case scenario, alone is the best case scenario. No interferences. It's your mind only, your values only. Worse, or a little bit better than this, it is surrounded by seekers of truth that have this direction as the center of their lives. Of course, their minds are not pure yet, but at least their values are more in tune, so more profit. And it can help. They can help each other. And these scenarios are already apart from this worldly context. best case scenario, is in direct contact with the source of guidance, with your master, or alone if it is direct guidance, but continuously tuned. This is why it is said, seek the company of the wise, of the saints, or of the guru, if by chance it is for you. So that this sharing that happens is beneficial to you. So this, should I abandon the world, should I stay in the world, is a little bit more deeper than it appears to be. But these days, well, money talks, and the rest I will not repeat. Spiritual teachings are being adapted to the present need, to the buyers. And now everything is allowed. It's like, well, the yogis from the past were retarded. Of course, they left their homes, they sought solitude and all of that. They should be retarded. Now, seekers these days, yes, they are intelligent ones, full of wisdom. They can find wisdom everywhere. Just Wikipedia, and they get it all in 30 seconds because they don't have time to waste. Too busy doing the same life as anyone else. And now we are even listening in some corners that, oh, but freedom is not what is said to be. Or a master is just someone like anyone else. Of course. Well, if I cannot uplift myself to that level, I will bring that which is at that level to this level. Problem solved. But if you look closely at your life, you will see emptiness. Emptiness. And those who don't see this emptiness, they may see something, but there's a blockage that doesn't let you move forward. And the answer is simple, because it's not right at so many levels. Your logic is protecting your weaknesses, your dependencies. It's fine, but you're not moving forward. That's fact. And the more time passes, the more we hear about spiritual experiences, facts and all, and it's coming down, 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 down to ridicule. Because that's what's left in the absence of real spiritual steps. Just emptiness and some spiritual experiences. And understand that when we speak about spirituality, we make a gap here. Division, clear division between a worldly world and a spiritual world. This is what we talk about. We don't talk about the rest. And in the spiritual part of the world, there are temptations, distractions, and all of these things. And that depends on you. And a bunch of these spiritual experience, mystical experience, is to keep you distracted. A sort of temptation. That brings in inspiration for some, and then it is used by others to tell everyone else how special they are, and to infatuate themselves with these experiences. You see, the world, the actual world, it is choosing and uplifting the best ones, putting these blockages in front. Some will go around and remain at the same level. Others go up towards them and transform it in like a staircase. Stair. Like a ladder, okay, because I don't know the name of them. So that can move higher and higher. So those who can move higher, those who cannot, go around it and remain at the same level. And that is not a choice. Choice is just a byproduct. Sometimes choice is involved, like I said. And something which was simple becomes difficult, painful, and long. When the person knows that going around is not an option, but it cannot move up. This is why there's a science in spirituality. There's a why. What are you dedicating your life to? Are you doing the best you can? And if you listen to the immediate answers that pop in your head, well, the majority of those answers, they are of no value. They are the logic available, and that's never the highest. If you want to know the answers, you will have to observe your logic, question your logic, question your motivations, so that you have a glimpse. But if you're too busy defending your logic, you will not see anything beyond that. So in all these changes, these shifts of paradigms, there is a purpose. If you're not making these shifts, then don't be surprised that things remain the same. Those who are in a hurry, who are thirsty for liberation, they use science in their favor, facts in their favor. Not just hopes and, well, remember this, you are taking more than money, and you are giving much more than what you're receiving. You're giving your life force. You're investing in a circumstance, in a way of being. You're validating worldly life with the worldly goals, with the worldly values. And you are bringing these values to be a part, the central core of your values. It's like saying, oh, I will dive in that pool of mud, but I will get out clean from there. No, you won't. And with all of that, the biggest waste, the biggest price there is, it is time wasted. And time, yes, that is the real value, the real currency for the seeker of truth. The most important one, time. It is slipping through your fingers. You don't know how long you have available. Can be 100 years, 80 years, 60 years, 50 years, 10 years, 1 year, 2 months. You don't know. You know it will end. You just don't know when. So this idea that you have time to use, to dedicate to a lot of things, and finally, this is delusion. You're not understanding, but it is there staring at you. 10 years ago was yesterday. 20, 30 years was yesterday. It seems like it was yesterday because it is so fast. The next 30 will be the same. Time is the most expensive, most valuable commodity there is. And shouldn't be wasted. But it is your time, so waste it if you want. So people, when they get in touch with spiritual teachings, there's a current worry that it is, but do I have to let go everything? Do I have to leave everybody? And this is fears and attachments arising, becoming visible as they come closer to something which is more real, more intense. So by itself, it is an indication. But understand, there's no you have to. Of course not. Science is available. Those who are in a hurry, who are thirsty, and have intelligence, they use science in their favor. Well, it's like you're late to an appointment. You have a supercar in your home, in your garage. You have a bicycle, and you're super late. Well, if you're really intelligent, you will grab the car. If you're not so intelligent, you'll ride a bike. If you're dumb, you will walk. So there's always these possibilities, apparently. But like I said, if the work hasn't been done previously, obviously you will walk because, well, choice is just a byproduct. So it is in the spiritual path. The obvious becomes unseen. It is strange. And when people are getting glimpses of something higher, and they come and say, well, I've seen this. Finally, I've understood. Then, well, they are just seeing the obvious. And it's so amazing, such a big discovery, but it always was obvious. So when you hear a spiritual teaching, don't judge it immediately. Everything has a science. Your mind, the science of your mind will always, not always, but almost always be there to protect your illusion. And I say not always because it is part of the training of the seeker of truth to train his own mind to obey the science and not go into its own logic, to understand that logic has this goal of protecting one's illusion and transform it into something that will act upon guidance only, not upon own ideas. But without this is a difficult stage to get. Not that difficult if you really use your time in a scientific way. I will answer your questions now. Dear Sriman, I come to a point where I see if I don't quit everything, I can't go far in my investigation. Here we are, looking at the obvious again. I have hired a real estate agent to sell my house and quit my job for a few months or more. Well, this I have to say something to you. If you leave your slippers and your pajama, the slippers under the bed, the pajama on top of the bed, you will go back to that bed. So this idea of I will try this a little bit, getting out of my safety zone and then going back, this doesn't really work much because you will come back. The quest of the seeker of truth is always moving forward according to guidance. Security, safety is in the hands of that which is guiding, not in my hands. This has to be the mindset. Won't I regret selling my house? Maybe. If your values are not in tune yet with the quest for truth, probably you will regret it. Because you will be moving forward, but looking backwards. There's a passage in the Bible, I think, that talk about this, looking back and becoming a salt statue. It's more or less what it means. So the seeker of truth moves forward. If you're getting this guidance that this is what you need to do, you must do so in a way of following forward in the direction that it is calling you, and not looking back and guaranteeing ways to return. Because as you guarantee ways to return, you will return. And if you're contemplating the idea of regretting, you will regret because you're not doing it for the right reasons. And you're not doing it, how you say this, because you are surrendering to your future, you're surrendering to guidance, putting your support into guidance alone. You are taking your own steps to ensure certain things. To ensure what? That your safety is preserved. Look, your safety is based on those values, where your house is and everything is there. And this has to change. This is why changes come. That situation of selling your house and moving forward, it is about breaking limitations. So if transformation occurs, if you're moving forward, no regrets will be there, they cannot be. Because the life of the real seeker of truth is of fulfillment only. But if in your values, fulfillment is the security of the house, then you'll be in trouble. And if your safety is on the communion you have with guidance, then no problems with the house or whatever. But understand, if you're leaving your slippers under the bed and the pajamas on top of it, you will come back to it. So advice is, if that is the indication, don't leave anything standing that you can come back to. My children, if I want to get away from them, can I? Well, you can't. If they want to go away, they can also. Everything is possible. You see, intellectually, theoretically, all is possible. But in practical terms, what has to be has to be. And there's just a difference in this what has to be, what has to be. It is, like I said, choice is just a byproduct. If you take the necessary steps to align yourself with the spiritual quest, really, that opens up one path, and it is completely different from the rest. But it's one that you will live, only one that you will live. I come from a family of 12 children. I knew as a child what it was not to eat every day. We live in a house without eating, etc. I was brought up by an anti-materialistic mother. Yet these fears appear to me, but I want to take the plunge. If I go back, I know that the suffering will be greater. I think about this quest every day. You see, that is interesting, wise, but not enough. It's not about avoiding suffering. It's about surrendering to greatness, to truth, to the divine. The motivation about suffering is not enough. It's not enough. So if it's not for the right reasons, it doesn't move, it doesn't grow. But it doesn't matter. You had this experience as a child to be in a home where your mother was anti-materialistic. So you had this clear vision experience of the value of material things, how relative it can be, as you were brought up as a child and as you experience as an adult and see others experiencing as an adult. But illusion, it's not about what you know, it's what you do with it. And everybody, even if you know this on an intellectual level, it's not enough to break the chains, to dissolve the chains. So steps will have to be given. Attachments will have to be lived. The breaking of these attachments. That knowledge has to become whole and solid. I think about this quest every day. You could be doing the quest every day. And I'm in my observation during the action. I do not arrive, not to be interested in the outside world. Still, you're there. So it doesn't matter if you're interested or not. Matter is if you're distracted and not investing intensely at the full extent of your ability in your quest for freedom. For the illusion, this is what counts. You're not investing, you're entertained, thinking about it. It doesn't matter as long as you're there. Period. It's a game, more or less. I go to work part of the day and then immediately come home to listen to a satsang, meditate. Daily tasks weigh on me, currently on all fronts. Well, that is the mark of a seeker of truth in that situation. But that's what you do to come out of that situation that defines if there is or not a seeker of truth. Currently on all fronts, family, work, finances is quite calm. I think that's when I have to leave everything so not to fall into inertia and then plunge into great suffering. I'm also afraid of reaching the end of the body and seeing the misery in which I believed in this illusion. Yes. I support people at the end of their life. That's also part of my job. And I see people awaiting their death in great anguish. I want to wake up before, 2 seconds before? I suffer from knowing that I'm limited. I feel like I'm fighting with myself. Well, of course, you're fighting with yourself. You're fighting with the habits, with the choices you're doing every day. It is normal. And by understanding alone, it's not enough. And understand, the most important commodity is time, and that which is being spent. And if you used it all in the quest for freedom, there's no guarantee. The lazy one will say to this, oh, if there's no guarantee even if I use all, so I'll just do something else. Good, go do something else, that's where you belong. Others will listen to this. If there's no guarantee by using all my time in the quest for freedom, then I'll use it all I have. That's the only thing I can do. That's the only thing sane to do. And this is what differentiates a seeker of truth from a seeker of well-being. If I have a long journey ahead of me, then I'll start as soon as I can. If I'm not able to reach the end of it, next time I will be much, much closer. Because nothing is wasted. So if you really understand, seekers act more or less, this is why I use the term VIP, because this is how seekers act. They don't understand what they're doing, but guidance presents itself in the possible way, and then there's a lot of discussion, entertaining, hesitation, and all of this. That's not the way to secure guidance. The way to secure guidance is whatever you perceive as guidance, you immediately put it into practice. This is what opens up and maintains the channel of guidance. If it is direct guidance, if it is to a master, it doesn't matter. It is the same process. The more you hesitate, the more you are wasting and losing opportunities and weakening that channel, not allowing it to grow. There is no time to waste, absolutely no time to waste, and this is guaranteed. I will answer your question now. Hello Sriman, I'm currently doing 2 meditation sessions of 2 hours and I'm trying to increase. Do you suggest me to add 1 more meditation sessions of 2 hours or to increase the 2 meditation sessions of 3 hours? Also, I've tried already to increase my sessions to 3 hours, but I'm unable to do it yet. Is it because of lack of training, of lack of motivation? Well, Probably because of lack of training. Training is not a good word. It's not a good word. You see, the more time you sit, the higher the fire becomes, the more intense and more visible your gross energy becomes, and this is painful at all levels. But usually it's more present at the physical level. So training, well, it's not a good word, but not a bad word also. Okay. So the best, you see, the normal practice, it has to be disciplined. It has to be, there must be repetition, 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 repetition. So if you're sitting for 2 hours, you have to maintain it 2 hours. So in this case, instead of fighting with 3 hours, the best it is to put another sitting of 2 hours. And, well, you say you cannot increase it from 2 to 3, but maybe you can increase it from 2 to 2.5, or 2 hours 15 minutes. Let's make it 2 hours 30 minutes that you can increase it. It's better 3 sittings than 2 sittings, of course. And it is better 3 sittings of 2 hours. I cannot say than 2 sittings 3 hours, but because it's not possible. Because if it was possible, it would be good. But it is better 3 sittings 2 hours, and to increase it slowly, slowly. You can increase it 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and maintain it. You maintain it through a while. Then, after a while, it becomes possible to increase a little bit more. Even if it is 5 minutes, whatever you increase, you will have to maintain. No coming back. No coming back. And once in a week, you can go for at least one of the sittings to 3 hours or even more. To get used to deepen a little bit more. You make your normal practice at one level, and then you use one day a week to deepen that practice, to do longer sittings. But understand, whatever is conquered, you have to maintain it. Maintain it. This is very important. The mind has to be trained, never turn back. Never give up. This is very important, because if you open this possibility of giving up, you will give up. And then you cannot move forward, because as it becomes difficult, well, you'll give up. It will not be a choice again, a byproduct. So if 3 sessions are possible, then put the 3 sessions. And, well, whenever you conquer this 3-hour sitting, you will conquer to the 3 of them. Before that, put that extra sitting, and when you're comfortable with the 3 sittings, then you can increase them in length a little bit more. You can try 15 minutes or even 5 minutes. It depends how you will be at the end of that sitting. Sometimes 5 minutes, it's all you can, but still 5 minutes is 5 minutes longer, and that is good. Okay, so next satsang will be Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. So whenever you're watching this satsang and you have doubts about it, or about something else, you can send. Sometimes you will have to look, but it is getting better now. The number of WhatsApp is available. There's all other channels, but WhatsApp has shown to be the best one for now. And if you have doubts, even if they are private, well, if you don't want me to talk about it in satsang, you can have private satsang, or you can send and I will answer through WhatsApp what is possible. And you just say it is private and I will not bring it here. But it doesn't matter because through WhatsApp I can bring it here. Nobody knows who I'm talking with. Private. It comes directly to me, doesn't go to anyone else. Okay? There's something here. Okay. You're welcome. Okay. So until then, make the best use of your time. Remember, it is the most precious thing you have. Time. Watch.